Hello everyone, I hope everyone is healthy. Your today experiment is going to be about crystallization. So a crystal or a crystalline solid is solid material where molecules are arranged in a highly ordered structure. As you can see in this picture, the crystalline has a highly ordered structure. So the process of crystal formation via crystal growth is called crystallization. Uh, Table sugar is sucrose. You may have noted the difference between powdered sugar and the crystal sugar. Crystalline sugar is produced via crystallization of sucrose solution. To do crystallization, the first important consideration is selecting the right solvent to dissolve the compound to make a homogeneous solution. Not every organic compound will be soluble in every solvent. Which compound will be soluble in which solvent mostly depends on a simple property called polarity. In chemistry, polarity is a separation of electric charges leading to a molecule having an electric dipole moment. Electric dipole moment is a measure of the separation of positive and negative electric charges. Uh, More the dipole moment of a compound, more polar the compound is. Dipole moment of a compound is directly related to dielectric constant. Polar compound is more soluble in polar solvent, and a nonpolar compound is more soluble in a nonpolar solvent. In addition to polarity, temperature also has a huge role in solubility. Almost all solid compounds are more soluble in a hot than cold solvent. So, to give you some examples, for example, water is a highly polar solvent, and some polar compounds, such as benzoic acids, are completely soluble in water. Or dichloromethane is a moderately polar solvent, and some compounds, such as caffeine, are soluble in it. But for nonpolar solvents, such as hexane, some nonpolar substances such as hydrocarbons are completely soluble in these kind of nonpolar solvents such as hexane. So the most important thing about this experiment which you need to know is that crystallization is a purification technique. When you're going to purify a solid compound which is solid at room temperature, you can use crystallization method. Dependence on the polarity of the solid compound that needs to be purified, a solvent is selected. So the first thing which you need to do in crystallization experiment is selecting the solvent. For example, water is a good solvent for a very polar compound like benzoic acid. Ideally, a solvent needs to be selected such a way that the solid should be soluble in a hot solvent and much less soluble in the cold solvent. Impurities should be soluble even in cold solvent. That's the way which we're going to use to separate the impurities from our target compound and purify our target compound. So you can use a simple filtration, gravity filtration, for uh, separation your insoluble impurities from your mixture, from your solid mixture. So about your laboratory procedure. So at first you need to prepare a beaker and add 0.5 gram impure benzoic acid and 2 milliliters of water in it, and on a hot plate you need to let it to be heated. So occasionally you need to add a few milliliters of the water to keep the volume of your solution around 20 milliliters. So you need to control your heating. In addition, you need to add around 25 milliliters of water in another beaker and put it in a hot plate to have boiling and hot water for your different steps of the experiment. So In addition, you need to prepare your gravity filtration system on the hot plate. You need to clamp your flask, Erlenmeyer flask, by using an universal clamp. So after boiling and solving your benzoic acid, in fact, your impure benzoic acid in the water, at first, before doing the filtration, you need to soak the filter paper thoroughly with some hot water from beaker number 2, and then quickly filter your solution from beaker number 1, which is your benzoic acid solution. If you observe some premature crystallization on the filter paper, you can dissolve them by using hot water from beaker number 2. So in here, you did your first step of the experiment. So after that, you need to do the crystallization step. So after gravity filtration, which you did, and remove the insoluble impurities, so you're going to do your crystallization to have the benzoic acid crystals. So the point which you need to be careful is that the volume of the water must be around 25 milliliter. If the solution is too dilute, so your crystallization will not be perfect. So if you have higher a volume higher than 25 milliliter, you need to keep doing the heating step to have 25 milliliter of the solution. After that, you need to let the solution to be cold to the room temperature. So when it was cold, you can see the crystal of the benzoic acid, but you need to be patient and wait for crystallization. Crystallization sometimes is a slow process. In addition, you can use a metal spatula to gently scratch the inner surface of the flask. This will help the crystallization rate be a little faster. So after having the crystal in your solution, you need to use vacuum filtration to have your pure crystal of benzoic acid. So you need to set up your vacuum filtration. You need a vacuum filtration Erlenmeyer flask. You need to clamp it by using an universal clamp, and you need a Buchner funnel. So and you can use the vacuum system of your workstation and filter your solution. You will have the benzoic acid crystal on the filter paper. So you can wait a few minutes, around 5 minutes, and let the filtration system dry your solid pure benzoic acid. So at the end, you need to weigh the pure benzoic acid, the solid which you have, and it's supposed to be the pure benzoic acid, and you need to calculate the recovery percent. So for calculating the recovery percent, you just need to divide final pure weight of crystal on initial weight and times it in 100. So you have some solid waste such as benzoic acid and your filter paper. You need to throw them away to solid waste trash. And your aqueous weights, all of them are contaminated with benzoic acid, so all of them must trash to organic waste. And so for your balance room, you need to, after using, you need to clean your balance room. So that's it for your this week's experiment. Good luck, guys.